I've always believed, Joe, that, knowledge is one thing and wisdom's entirely another. That's knowing when to apply something, when not to. And then there's the understanding of it all. And you've kind of already helped us along the track here to what a lot of your belief system is. But inside the manuscript you wrote, you actually devoted, you have 5 things to make a sound golf swing. And first off, it was very Hogan-esque. It was the grip. But now you've sort of let me into this because you never told me this when we chatted. You're now airing this on our show, that you weren't averse to your kids going left hand low for a bit.
Now, one of the things I will tell you that got the swings, or how the boys got such a good swing playing, that all kids seems to be, is they grab it with their right hand on top, or their left hand, or their right hand on top, and then their left hand goes low, and they end up swinging it cross-handed.
Cross-handed, yeah, huh?
Yeah, and so I was thinking to myself, okay, so I'm a big swing playing guy, and I filmed down the line of cross-handed, and I just saw all these lines going at that angle. And I said, if I can do one thing, I'm going to get them to be on plane to start right away. And this was my early education of the swing plane, and that certainly was a simple way.
Yeah, and I will add to that the cross-handed pitching has saved a number of golfers in the world's game. Most notably, Matt Fitzpatrick. Back in the day, Chris Couch. There's been a few guys that have gone that way because not only does it play in the swing off, but if you tend to get a little loose-handed through contact, it certainly firms up that front wrist a little bit because of the fact that you're holding the club up so left hand, lead hand low. Tell me, as it pertains to the grip, tell me some of the things that Joe Park looks for when you're advising a golfer of sort of any skill level.
What I find for the most part of all the lessons that I've had is that, obviously they come to me because they slice the ball and they're coming over the top. And when your club face is coming in open, then you try to close it even more by coming over the top. And a lot of this could have been addressed by a proper grip. The problem is, what is a proper grip, right? So we have weak, we have strong, we have all these things. So what I did is I just gave a golf lesson in the book, just as if I was giving it to somebody. And the simplest way that I found is just to let your arms hang right by your side. And you'll notice that the thumb wants to curl in a little bit towards the right.
Yeah.
And that is what I call more of a natural grip. And if you were to move that towards the middle, and then I said relax, it would come right back to the right, which would then open the face. So sometimes we're actually forcing it to go open with what we call a weak grip. And so the best grip is to just let your arm hang and your joints will line up properly. And I like to hang it by the left side and not in the middle, because you'll see as I move it towards the middle, my arm will twist and it'll start to get weak. So back here, you've seen Tiger Woods start from behind the ball, or Adam Scott, and
Adam
they're getting
Scott
that
does
arm.
it a lot, yeah. Huh?
Yeah, and they're doing that. And there's another benefit to that. We've got the joints lining up, which we'll talk about, but the grip there is more to the right. So I like to say like 2 o'clock to the right side, and then you should see a couple of knuckles. And when you let that hang at the top of the golf swing, you'll see this left arm being nice and straight, and you won't see, all these different positions because they never got lined up to start with. And you can do that just by letting them all hang and then taking the grip. Now they're going to return back to square or closed compared to what most people have.
You got me thinking. I mean, I've been teaching golf since 1996.
A long
And
time.
yeah, yeah, I'm dating myself. And I always contended, and you've got me thinking now. I always contended that at the top, for the lead arm that tended to buckle, it was because of faulty wrist action. If the wrist doesn't hinge properly, the elbow will support. But you've just opened my eyes some. You're like, the left arm's supposed to hang, or the lead arm to the side like this. This is opposite for right-handers. And if you're allowed to hang naturally, all those joints align. So in other words, you hold the grip properly, it facilitates that proper hinging, which almost facilitates the lead arm keeping the width at the top of the swing. Am I understanding correctly?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that, there's things that we want to do, like intentionally. We want to have width. We want to have in to out. We want to do these things. But if we don't set ourselves up with these core fundamentals, those things are very difficult to happen. You know, it's difficult for the best tour players in the world. It's going to be more difficult for a high handicap. So your
Okay.
best bet is to get yourself in these positions. And if you start from the left, you will see when you start taping people from down the line, you'll see this left arm in a really nice straight position. You won't see all of these. Now, that kind of helps, but that doesn't mean that you can still bend the elbow. We want to try to maintain as width as we want. And I think we need to sell people on why width. You know, people say width, 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 width. Width is a more power source, and the term is torque.
Yeah.
And torque is the power of the golf swing. So if you can think of like a wrench, undoing a wrench on your car tires, trying to do it. It's a small wrench, it's very difficult. If you had a longer wrench lever, you would do nothing to turn that and undo it. And so the longer, the wider the swing circle, it allows your, you know, we all want to turn and we want to do those things. Well, if we got the width, we're going to get a nice turn. But if it's very narrow, I can do a lot of things in between that, and there's just a ton of slack. So to start with on the grip, get the good extension to start with, and then I've got a drill in there, obviously, when we talk about the takeaway, about how to get some width.
Okay, let's get there first. But first, you kind of touched us already. Element 2 of the 5 fundamentals to a swing is the stance and the posture.